2023 may have been the most insane year for the Fire Emblem Heroes meta so far. Not only did we have some of the most disgustingly powerful mythics added to the game to shake up the Ether Raid's meta, but we also had heroes who literally broke the rules of how the game is supposed to work. So what better way to discuss the meta than counting down the top 10 meta units of 2023. Just to clarify, these are the heroes who had the largest impact on the Ether Raids, Summoner Duels, and Arena meta. If you do not know what the meta is or how heroes become meta, then check out my video on that topic. There will be a link in the description. One final thing before we start is that this will not include all the newest heroes, as we haven't seen their full meta impact quite yet. Now let's get started with number 10. At number 10 we have the one and only Wind Claude, the hero who may have caused the most outrage throughout the year. Wind Claude brought back the high special cooldown meta, but did so by breaking all the rules established in FEH. This unit didn't need to hit opponents, didn't need special acceleration, or even pre-charging the specials like in the past. Wind Claude completely bypassed every special mechanic in the game and could simply spam specials like lethality back to back by having bonus effects. If that wasn't enough, Wind Claude also was extremely bulky due to his preferred skill, Deep Star, which offered him dual phase damage reduction that even worked against brave attacks. Combining that with a new attack speed prime skill let Claude counterattack even against melee threats. Claude was easily one of the most powerful units on the newly established flyer lines and helped establish the dominance of flyers this year. Number 9, Duo Thor once again proves to be one of the most dominant heroes in the Summer Duels meta, and refuses to fall off. This is mostly due to her insane duo skill that removes all bonuses active on the enemy team while also inflicting gravity. But what also allowed Thor to remain dominant was the ridiculous amount of new toys she received, such as Guidance 4 and Soaring Guidance, allowing her to offer insane mobility. Also the new Ploy 4 skill that allowed her to offer ways to counter Grand Strategy, Bonus Doubler, and even Treachery. And this was already all on top of her own excellent support of Stall and Exposure, which let her keep the 4 movement cavalries in check while passively offering free bonus damage to her entire team. Duo Thor continues to act as the boogeyman of Summer Duels, and I don't expect that to be changing with our current meta being built on top of bonus effects. Our first engaged hero comes in at number 8 in the form of the mythic hero, Veil. Throughout the year, the meta constantly shifted back and forth between big specials and damage reduction halving, but the introduction of heroes like Wind Claude, Brave Robin, and some others pushed the meta back into spamming big specials, and this is where Veil showed up to put them back in their place. The introduction of the Scowl skill was pivotal for the tanking meta, in particular the Savior meta, and is one of the factors of why dragons became so dominant. But with the introduction of Veil, all tanks, including Omni tanks, finally had access to the Scowl skill, and the best part was, it was based off Veil's resistance too. This allowed Veil to have a big impact in Ether Raids and Summer Duels, as she became a vital support for allowing tanks to survive. How can we talk about big specials without talking about the hero who started it all? Number 7, Duo Asker. While typically big specials were limited to infantry units due to skills like Times Pulse or Infantry Pulse, Duo Asker offered the insane support of -2 special cooldown to any hero in the game. This quickly shifted the entire Summer Duels meta towards running big specials like AoEs on nukes, lethality on dagger units, and even Miracle on many tanks. You combine the support with powerful nuking and a bulky unit, and you get one of the centerpieces of the Summer Duels meta. At number 6 we have one of the most toxic heroes to ever be added to FEH, Freyr. Freyr hits the Ether Raid's meta like a nuke. His preference C skill, Dream Deliver, neutralized a majority of penalties in the game, meaning he hard countered Elamine, one of the most meta influential heroes ever in Ether Raids. He brought back Bridal Catcher to the meta in Anima season. He allowed for all kinds of degenerate strategies and traps to come back as well, such as the Dance Trap, the Rally Trap, the Healer Trap, and so many more. He also allowed defense teams to run all kinds of bonuses without the fear of being punished, such as visible bonuses on stats. On top of all that, Freyr himself is a powerful unit who's extremely bulky, hits like a truck, and even has guard to help shut down Gale Force strategies. Freyr was a massive overcorrection to Elamine and has forever damaged the Ether Raid's meta in Anima season. Finally, number 5, we have the hero who threw the special meta on its head, Lucia. While the meta was being dominated by insane specials, Lucia showed up and just said no. Unlike any other hero, Lucia broke the rules of the game, turning off specials entirely, meaning a majority of the meta, which had become dependent on specials to deal damage or to get past damage reduction, became irrelevant. Not only that, but she also shut down so many other strategies and effects in the game, such as drive support effects, Vantage, and guaranteed follow-up attacks. Lucia quickly became the most dominant Omni tank and raid boss in both Ether Raids and Summer Duels. When the meta shifted back to big specials due to heroes like Wind Claude, Lucia once again proved her power, especially with her new toy of Gambit 4. While damage reduction halving has currently lowered Lucia's power, there is no denying how much impact she had on the 2023 meta. Miracle became one of the biggest meta effects in the 2023 meta, and this was largely due to number 4, Fallen Maria. While Duo Asker made it easier than ever to charge the Miracle special, Fallen Maria granted the improved version of Miracle, Life Unending, to all allies within 2 spaces on top of additional stats. This ridiculously powerful support allowed units to essentially have a second life in battle, which immediately made Fallen Maria one of the most meta-influential heroes of the entire year. Fallen Maria showed up in every single game mode, from Aether Raid's offense alongside Omnitank's advantage units to Aether Raid's defense, where she could be a massive annoyance protecting far and near saves, and of course in summoner duels where she could not only protect the far save on the team, but even allow for aggressive plays as she protected the nukes with a second life. Feud became one of the most desirable effects in the meta because it acted as a hard counter to Maria. Even now, Fallen Maria acts as a powerhouse in our current meta and is a hero you always have to consider when building teams. Coming in at number 3 is the best hero ever added to Fire Emblem Heroes, Bridal Catria. This is the 3rd year that Bridal Catria has appeared in the top 10 meta heroes. While she needs no introduction, Bridal Catria is easily the most powerful offensive support the game has ever introduced. When you combine that with good mobility support in the form of the formation buff, you have an amazing unit. But what really allowed Catria to become so ridiculously dominant in the 2023 meta was how many upgrades she got in the form of skills, such as Guidance 4, Soaring Guidance, and Guard Bearing 4. The guidance skills allowed Catria to not only be the best offensive support, but also the best mobility support until the introduction of Legendary Alencia. Guard Bearing 4 allowed Catria to become a powerful frontliner who could actually survive melee threats and allow for offensive positioning. Of course, this was the case for both Aether Raids and Summoner Duels. And while before Catria was banished from Anima Season, a certain GOAT allowed her to make her return. Honestly, Bridal Catria was going to be number 1 on this list, but due to recent changes in the meta, she has begun to show her age. This is mostly in the form of Schism, a new penalty introduced by Ruse 4 that turns off triangle attack, and the introduction of Brave damage reduction, which does overall lower the value of her offensive support. So while this may be the final year Bridal Catria shows up on this list, I want to take a second to congratulate her on the most meta-dominant run the game has ever seen. You all knew he was coming. At number 2 is the Awakening Legend himself, Legendary Robin. Even though a majority of the community slept on him at release, Robin quickly proved to be a powerhouse that could warp the entire meta around himself. Legendary Robin offered the Grand Strategy support, which essentially gives an Omni Unity effect out as support. This transformed any visible stat debuff into a positive, and the insane thing that was that it stacked with other Unity effects. On top of that, Robin also inflicted stat debuffs on his allies, ensuring that this effect was always active and consistent. This allowed Robin to transform any hero into a massive stat ball of death. Quickly, the meta had to completely remove any type of stat debuff support from their teams, as it would bite them in the butt. Robin upended the speed power creep meta, as any hero who could stack Unity effects got massive speed boosts that would allow them to outspeed even newer units. And when you combine this support with a versatile infantry unit who has access to a plethora of skills, you get the best support unit in the entire game. Legendary Robin dominated Summoner Duels, dominated Arena, dominated Aether Raid's offense, and became a massive pain in the butt in Aether Raid's defense as well. This unit was literally everywhere. In response to this, Intelligence System has offered a ton of new ways to nerf Robin, be it Ploy, which hard counters him, or Sabotage and Foe Penalty Doubler, which takes advantage of the stat debuffs as well. So while Legendary Robin is nowhere as dominant as he once was, the impact he had on the meta was massive. Before we reveal number 1, I want to quickly go over 2 honorable mentions. First up is the anti-savior herself, Emblem. Emblem introduced the powerful Undefended penalty, which turned off save units. Although this effect is very powerful, we didn't fully see Emblem's meta influence skyrocket in Dark Season until recently. The reintroduction of powerful ranged cavalry like Duo Soniki, Winter Yunaka, Summer Shamir, and so many more have allowed Dark Cavlines to re-emerge in a big way. Emblem is massive on these teams as she can completely shut down save units and inflict feud as well, turning off vital support effects. This allows Emblem to become one of the best Dark Mythics available and have a big impact on the Aether Raids meta. For my second honorable mention, I'm gonna break one of my own rules and include a new hero, Winter Edelgard. Typically, I don't like to include new heroes whose meta impact we haven't fully seen yet, but Winter Edelgard has already been making massive waves in Aether Raids and shown promise in Summoner Duels as well. This is largely due to the fact that Winter Edelgard doesn't have any of the weaknesses of a typical Gale Force unit or armor. She's able to charge Gale Force without relying on conventional methods, and her mobility is better than infantry and flying units as well. This allows her to heavily punish common Aether Raid's defense strategies such as cavalry lines, flyer lines, and even catcher balls. And due to her special jump effect, she can even instantly charge Miracle, which has allowed her to become a massive threat in summer duels. I am very much looking forward to seeing how much of a meta impact she makes in the following months. Finally reached number 1, and who else could it be other than legendary Hinoka? At the beginning of this year, flyers were in a terrible place. They were easily the worst movement type in the game. They lacked the mobility of cavalry units, the firepower of infantry units, and the taking capabilities of armor units. But throughout this year, they would gain all of that. Much of this was due to skills like Guidance 4, Soaring Guidance, and Guard Bearing, but the hero who would put all of those powerful effects together was legendary Hinoka. Hinoka was not only an excellent nuke, but she offered some of the most powerful support in the game via her ability to give flyers charge. And she also gave everyone special acceleration and even some stat support. The ability to give all flyers charge drastically increased their mobility to insane levels. When you combined charge with guidance, essentially the entire map became a danger zone for the opponent, and there was nowhere for them to hide. Flyer teams quickly became the meta of summer duels, and in many cases, even saved units were expelled from the team for additional flyers. Flyer lines became a toxic menace in Aether Raids, as every map became a test of how to survive Hinoka and Claude flying at you. Hinoka's impact on the meta cannot be understated. She helped to take flyers from the worst movement type in the game to the very best in a matter of 1 year. Now I'd love to hear from you. Do you agree with my list? Who would you put on the list? And of course, who is your favorite meta hero of 2023? Drop a comment down below letting me know. I'd love to hear everyone's opinions. If you haven't yet, go check out my ultimate support tier list, ranking all 169 support units from SSS down to E. And as always, I'd like to thank all my members for their constant support. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later with more Fire Emblem Heroes.